I was harassed by a Disney cast member. Many of you have been asking me what it was that Disney cast member said to me that day that was very inappropriate. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what exactly that Disney cast member said to me, so stay tuned. Many people are not aware that Disney performs a mandatory room inspection of all of its rooms at all of its resorts, basically every day or every other day. I recently stayed at the Port Orleans Resort at Disney World in March. I think I was there for 8 nights. The Disney cast member showed up to my room. As I continue to ask him questions, like, why do you need to do this policy? Why is this happening? Can you just explain a little bit about the policy? He goes, oh, maybe you're not understanding me because of my accent. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? I said, and then I follow that up very calmly, and I'm like, I'm from Miami-Dade County, and I'm a mix of like 5-6 cultures as it is, an ethnic, I'm like a variety of different ethnic backgrounds, so I don't know what you're trying to imply by that. And he goes, well, you're just probably not understanding me because of my accent. And I'm like, I'm from Dade County. Like, I mean, like, have you been to Miami-Dade County? Like, what are you trying to say? So he's like, oh, so this is the response. This is what you've been waiting to hear. Okay, so at this point, he's like, he looks me up and down and he goes, oh, so you got a little bit of Haitian in you. And I'm like, what did he just say to me? My God. Like, you just asked me as a Disney cast member at my hotel room if I've got some Haitian in me. What the, you know? So at that point, he continues to get even more irritated and irritable with me, even though he just spoke to me inappropriately. And he's like, I'm gonna report you. So at that point, I go to the Disney concierge area. I don't wait in line because this is like an emergency situation. I'm not gonna wait in line for an hour to get seen. So I walk right up to a, like one of the women that's in like plain clothes, who's like one of the like managers, and she takes it seriously. She apologizes for what he said. And then the entry-level manager who works that area in the lobby is going to talk to me about what happened. Then the situation gets weirder because that person who is the entry-level manager of the lobby says to me and who I'm with that they want to talk to us in our room. And I'm like, I basically, said like, to myself, that's not normal. Like, I'm not talking to this person in my room. Tell them we'll meet them in the lobby. And that's what we did. It's like, I'm not going to talk to this person in my room to discuss an issue. That's super weird. So they meet us in the lobby. And I also tell them that I am DAS. I don't even know how that came up. I think I was trying to explain that, like, the situation has affected me and, like, you're sending me into, like, an attack. And at that point, like, they start talking to me kind of condescendingly. They were like, do you need to sit down? It was just awful. They were really in Disney defensive mode. That's how I'll describe it. You knew as a guest that was staying there that you had to say yes to whatever they were saying. Yeah, it's fine the way he spoke to me. I get it. Everyone has bad days. Because you knew in that moment that if you didn't comply with them and like tone the situation down and be like, it was all a misunderstanding, everyone has bad days, that they were going to full on basically throw you out of the resort. So at that point, they credit back my account $50. Basically, in a very sarcastic way, it was like, why don't you go get some beignets and like we'll make this all good. And then at that point, I'm like receiving phone calls even later in the day. Is everything good? Not in the sense of like, is everything good? Like more like, are you done now? Like, is everything good? Like, are we gonna have any further complaints from you? That's kind of what the vibe was. And we were like, no, everything's great. I love the beignets. Thank you so much for the $50. I bow down to you. Thank you so much. So, but one of the requests I did have was that this very, very creepy cast member who was disgusting to me would not return to my room. If you're gonna do this housekeeping policy and you're gonna have someone come back, why is he coming back to my room? So they agreed with that and they were like, okay, he won't return to your room. Guess what? He returned to my room. Not only did he return to my room, but I kept seeing him like everywhere outside my room. He would like wave at me, and it was like really, really, really creepy. He was like trying to like, you know, like, hi. You know, that's what he was doing every time he saw me. I'm trying to tone down the situation. They're trying to tone down the situation. And I can sense that they've become so defensive that I don't even know if I can tone down the situation. People would ask, why are you trying to tone down the situation? If you were a victim, I was, but I wanted to continue my vacation, and they're going in like Disney defensive mode, and I don't want to be like removed from the resort for something they did. So at that point, I start to like tell them that I worked in media, which is true. I have a history. I haven't discussed with you guys that in the past, separate from YouTube, I'm not referring to YouTube, I actually have a history where I have been involved in the entertainment industry for a long time and worked in media. So at that point, when they learn that I am, in quote, have a history of media, they become a little bit more like, maybe we should tone this down and we should like just kind of let this be a truce and wave the white flag, and we both go our separate ways. So this housekeeping person, even though they promised me he would not return to my room, did return to my room. And so he returns to my room, and he says can he come in? There was someone else there with me. And so he comes in, he stands in the front of the room, like in the front area, but the door is closed. He looks around, goes like this. He goes, is there anything you would like to tell me? And I'm like, no. And he's like, is there anything you would like to discuss with me? And I'm like, no. Waits a couple more minutes, kind of repeats the same questions, and then he finally leaves. It was super uncomfortable. I felt, if I'm going to be honest, I felt very unsafe. I did not sleep well the rest of the trip. I was constantly on my mind as to whether he would return. As much as I do love the concept of Disney, because let me be clear with that, I do. I love the idea of escapism and going to a theme park and going on rides. I obviously don't like the idea of feeling unsafe in my own hotel room. So I don't see how I would ever be able to stay again at a Disney resort where they're doing that policy. If I wanted to go to Disney, I would have to stay at the Swan and Dolphin, which is not exactly a Disney property. It's like this agreement that they got going on. And as far as I'm aware, they're not doing the room inspections at the Swan and Dolphin. And it's getting into the type of thing, I've talked about this before, where it's kind of like I would rather go to the Hard Rock Hotel at Universal Studios, pay a lot more money, stay less days, and not have this weird, creepy experience where some weirdo is coming into my room asking me all types of weird questions. Okay, it's just not acceptable. It felt super unsafe. All the other days that I was there, I felt super, super unsafe. I couldn't even get ready in the morning properly. Like I always wanted to do my hair and makeup because I felt like at any minute he was coming back. I couldn't go to the pool and come back to the room and take a shower or get, shower in the middle of the day in order to go out. Because again, I thought this weirdo was gonna come back to the room at any minute. So that is what you have all been waiting to hear what happened. It was not a good experience. I felt very unsafe. I do not know how I would stay at another Disney resort hotel as long as they have this policy in place, because the reality is you just don't know who's coming to your room. I would have to be, to theoretically make it work at a Disney hotel, I'd be going to the lobby, requesting that they really, really stay true to a time that I'm requesting that they come, which there's no guarantee with that. I want a female to come to my room instead of a male. It just doesn't seem worth it to go through all that and pay that type of money. I'd rather go to Universal Studios and not have this ridiculous thing that should not be going along with that price tag of a vacation stay.